So this is the Edexcel Foundation GCSE Maths paper, paper 1, so the non-calculator paper from the 6th of November 2018. So question 1, write the following numbers in order of size starting with the smallest number. So look at the tenths column and you can see this column here has got a 0 in the tenths column, so that's the smallest number. We'll just cross it out just so you don't miss any out. Then the next smallest number with a 1 in the tenths column is 0.152. Then again focusing on the tenths column, then 0.2, then 0.37 because that's got a 3 in the tenths column, then finally 0.4. Question 2. So 0.6 is 6 tenths. Now as a percentage we need to have it out of 100. So we're multiplying top and bottom by 10. So 6 times 10 is 60. 60 out of 100 is 60%. Question 3. Now we're being asked from the list to write down a factor of 10. Now factors are the small whole numbers that when multiplied by another factor give you 10. So 1 times 10 is 10, so 1 and 10 would be factors. 2 times 5 is 10, so 2 and 5 are factors. So you can see that 5 is our only factor here. Question 4, we've got to write 7,829 to the nearest thousand. So to the nearest thousand, so we're talking about numbers like 7,000 or 8,000 to the nearest thousand. Now clearly this is closer to 8,000, in other words it's over 7,500, so the answer is 8,000. Question 5 part A. Now you've got to remember to use BIDMAS here, so the multiplication has got to come before the addition. Okay, so we're going to do the 3 times 5 first, so that's 15, and then you add on the 7, so that's 22. Now part B, work out 2 cubed. Well that means 2 times itself again. 2 2s are 4 and 2 4s are 8. Now put brackets in here to make this correct. Now 7 5s are 35, so we need to actually make sure we do that addition first before we do the multiplication. So the brackets ensures that we do the 2 add 3 first. 2 add 3 is 5, 7 times 5 is 35. Question 6. So Sue has 2 cats. Each cat eats quarter of a tin of cat food each day. So how much cat food does Sue need each day? Because she's got 2 cats, well she needs 2 lots of a quarter, so that's a half, so she needs half a tin a day. Okay, she buys 8 tins of food, so she needs half a tin a day. So if she's got 8 tins, 8 tins is going to mean that she's got enough food for 16 days because she needs half a tin a day. So has Sue bought enough food to feed her cats for 14 days? So we can say, yes, Sue has enough food to feed her cat for 14 days, as she has enough for 16 days. Something like that. Question 7. So we're told here from the key that a whole square represents 4 trees. So apple trees, we've got 4 and 4 and 4, which is 12. Cherry trees, we've got 4 and we've got a quarter there, haven't we? So that's just 1, so that's 5. And pear trees, we've got a 4 and a half. Half of 4 is 2, so we've got 6. So altogether we've got 12 add 5, which is 17, plus 3, which is 23. So we've had 23 trees so far. Now we're told that there is a total of 30 trees in the orchard, so the others must be plum trees. Now 30 take away 23 is 7. So we need to go and represent 7. So that needs to be 1 whole, which is 4, and then 3/4. So just go and make it so it's filling in 3/4. So 1 3/4. Question 8. So write down the coordinate of point A. Well, that's 2 to the left. So that's -2. So you always go along the corridor first of all, either to the left or the right. And then it's 1 down. So that's down is a minus. So that's -2, -1. On the grid, mark with a cross the point 2, 3. So that's 2 to the right and 3 up. So that's point B. Now be careful with part C. The temptation is to draw a line in parallel to the x-axis along -4. But what x equals -4 means is that all the x coordinates are -4. All the x coordinates are -4. So let's just do sample a few. We can make up our own y coordinates. How about 0, 1 and 2? So if we go and plot those points, -4, 0, -4, 1, -4, 2, you can actually see it's creating a line down here. Now I don't have access to a ruler function here, so I'm doing it by hand. You must make sure you do yours with a ruler, okay? So that is the line x equals -4. Question 9. Work out the value of 2g plus 3h. Now remember 2g means 2 times g. So that's 2 times 9, which is 18. So we've got 18 there. Then we're adding on 3h, and 3h means 3 times h. So that's 3 times 4, which is 12. So we're doing 18 add 12, which is 30. Question 10. Write down 2 prime numbers that have a sum of 32. Now prime numbers are all the numbers that have exactly 2 factors. So for example 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 14, no, 15, no, 6, no, 17, 18, no, 19, and so on. Now I need 2 of these that add up to be 32. Now there probably are others, but the ones that immediately spring to mind are 13 at 19, 19 at 13, 29, 31 equals 32, yeah. So 13 and 19 will do nicely. Question 11. So which fraction is not equivalent to 3/4? Why not? 9 over 12 is, because that's 3 times top and bottom. 6 over 8 is, yep, we're just doubling top and bottom. 18 is, yes, timesing top and bottom by 6. And the one on the end would be, that's timesing top and bottom by 5. But 10 over 16 is not, okay? 3/4, if you multiply top and bottom by 4, you get 12/16, not 10/16. So which of these is not an equivalent fraction to 3/4? It's 10/16. Now for part B, we need to have a common denominator, okay, the same number on the bottom. Now one way to find out a common denominator is just to multiply the 2 bottom numbers together. 12 6s is 72, and you could go down that route, but you'll just have to remember to make sure you fully simplify at the end. It's a lot quicker if you spot that both of these numbers go into 12. So 1 over 12 can stay as 1 over 12, and 5 6, well, we're just multiplying top and bottom by 2. So that's 10/12, and then when we add that together, we get 11/12. Question 12. So part A, how much is the fixed charge? Now, a fixed charge is the amount that you pay regardless of how many miles the lorry has to drive. So if you go and look at when the distance is 0, you can see already there is a cost of there. Now that is halfway between 0 and 20, which is 10. So the fixed charge is £10. Okay, now for part B, Tom makes 2 deliveries of bricks. The distance of one delivery is 20 miles more than the other. delivery, work out the difference between the costs. So I think the best way to do this is just try and get 20 miles worth of distance and see what the increase is in cost. Okay, so if we go along from here along to 20 and then we go up there, you can see that 20 miles of distance has cost an extra, that distance there, which is 40 take away 10, which is 30. Okay, now you could have taken any triangle and you're going to get the same answer. Any 20 you go along to the right, you're going to be going 30 up, because obviously it's a straight line. So work out the difference between the two delivery costs. The answer is going to be £30. Question 13. So they play a game. Amzol's score was 4 times Ryan's and Kim's score was half of Amzol's. So it's always handy to try and figure out which is the smallest one. So that's Ryan on this occasion. So if we just do it in the order of the question, A to R to K, let's go and say that Ryan just has one lot. Okay. Now Amzol scores 4 times Ryan's score. So Amzol gets 4 times 1, which is 4. And Kim's score was half of Amzol's, so half of 4 is 2. So write down the ratio of Amzol's scores to Ryan's score to Kim's score. We're going to have 4 to 1 to 2. Question 14. Now, for us to show that this shape ABCD is a kite, you could either go down the route of showing that these two sides were the same, AB and AD, which we know is the case, and you might on another occasion be given the information to be able to go and work out that that length was the same as that length, which would be enough to show that it's a kite. Now, we haven't got that information here. Okay, we haven't been provided with enough information to do that. So here we're going to have to go down the angles route. We're going to need to show that that angle there, okay, is the same as that angle there. If we can show that those two angles are the same, then we can conclude that the shape is a kite. So let's start off with this angle ADC, this angle here. Well, angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees, so that must be 105. So we can go and say, because we've got to give a reasons for each stage of your working, so we can say angle ADC equals 105 degrees, and the reason being angles on a straight line total 180. Total 180 degrees. Now, we can now go and work out what this angle is here. Now that's 50 degrees, and that's because vertically opposite angles are equal. So we can go and say that angle B to C to D, B to C to D equals 50 degrees, because opposites and vertically opposite angles are equal. Now, having done that, angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So this angle here, whoops, let's just try and change the pen colour. This angle here is going to be 360, take away the other three angles. So we can go and say angle ABC equals 360, take away 50, take away 105, take away 100, and that indeed is another 105. Okay, and the reason for that is angles in a quadrilateral total 360 degrees. So we can then, to conclude, we can say as angle ABC and ADC are the same, the shape is a kite. Question 15. So we need to mix 5 parts orange juice to 2 parts lemonade. So orange juice to lemonade, we have to mix 5 to 2. Now he's got 300 millilitres of orange juice, so let's just focus on that for a start. If he's got 300 millilitres of orange juice, now how do we get from 5 to 300? How do we scale that up? 5 times what gives us 300? We can do 300 divided by 5, okay, to give us 60. So it's 60 times the amount. So if we multiply the 2 by 60 as well, okay, the 2 by 60, we can see that if we've got 300 millilitres of orange juice, we then go and add 120 millimeters of lemonade, okay, to keep this ratio of 5 to 2. So the greatest amount of fizzy drink we can make in total is this 300, add the 120, which is 420 millilitres. Now, Shahid has 300 millilitres orange juice, but he only has 160 of lemonade. Does this affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? Well, no, it doesn't. Look, to start with, when he had 200 millimeters of lemonade, he still only used 120 of it. Okay, the other 80 wasn't used. So the fact that he's got 160 milliliters of lemonade is neither here nor there. He still only needs 120. So does this affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? This does not. Does not affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink. As he only needs 120 milliliters of lemonade. Full stop. Jim is not right. The two rectangles are not similar because you add on 4 each time. To work out if a shape is a similar shape, you have to multiply the sides or divide the sides. So here, for example, how do we get from 8 to 12? Well, we would be multiplying by 1.5. 12 divided by 8 is 1.5. Okay. So similarly, if you were trying to work out whether this side was similar, you would do 6 times 1.5. which would be 9, not 10. Okay, so is Jim correct? Explain your answer. Jim is not correct. You multiply or divide to establish if shapes are similar. So something like that would be fine. Question 17. So 48 of the people are women. So we've got 48 women. So therefore we must have 32 men. 40, yeah. 61 of the 80 people like coffee. So 61 of the 80 like coffee. 8 of the men do not like coffee. Okay, let's fill that in first. 8 of the men do not like coffee. So men do not like coffee. So men who do like coffee, that must be 32 take away 8, which is 24. Now we're told that 61 like coffee. Well, 24 of those are men, so how many women like coffee? So to work out this one, we've got 61 like coffee, so 61 in total, take away the 24 men. So that's 37. So that means that there must be 11 women who do not like coffee, because 37 add 11 is 48. One of the people who like coffee is chosen at random. So we choose from the people who like coffee. So 61 like coffee. So we're choosing out of 61. Find the probability that this is a woman. Well, that's 37 out of 61. Question 18. So let's look at the food mart first. Okay, so we get 20% off the normal price of £5. Now I'm going to work in pennies here. So £5 is 500 pennies. Now 10% off, 10% of 500 pennies would be 50p off. So 20% off is going to be 100p off. So 100p off this is going to be costing us 400 pennies. So 400 grams costs us 400 pennies. So how much does a single gram cost us? It costs us a penny from Food Mart. Now in Jan's store, okay, again we're still paying 500 pennies, £5, but we're getting 30% extra in weight. So 400 grams is what we started with. 10% extra would be another 40 grams. Okay, so 30% extra, 3 lots of 40 would be another 120 grams. So we're getting 520 grams. So we're getting 520 grams for 500 pennies. Now already I can see this is better value for money. I'm getting more grams per penny. So it'd be nice to just try and work out how much a single penny costs. Okay, so dividing by 100, okay, I see that 5.2 grams is 5p, right? Then dividing by 5 again, okay, dividing by 5 again, 5.2 divided by 5 is going to be 1.04 grams for every single penny, okay, because 0.04 times 5 gives us the 0.2. So I can see that the Jan store is better value for money because I'm getting that extra bit. So which box of cereal is the better value for money? Jan's store is the better value for money. Now you might have done it a different way, okay, you might have, but as long as you are comparing like for like, okay, so the same quantity and comparing the money, or the same money comparing the quantity, as long as you justified your argument, you'll get the marks. Question 19 requires us to rotate shape A 180 degrees about the point 10. So go and mark the point 10. Now then go and get your tracing paper and go and put it over the whole shape. Okay, so you're going to put your tracing paper over the whole shape here. Okay, and draw around the shape A and you're going to put your pencil points on the center of rotation. Now a little tip, do a little arrow pointing upwards on your tracing paper. Now because we're rotating 180 degrees, put the nib of your pencil on the center of rotation 10 and just rotate the tracing paper around until the arrow is pointing downwards, and then you can just basically draw onto the tracing paper, creating an indentation below, and that's going to give you the answer. I'll do this in a different color. Okay, at 4 minus 3, whoops, that isn't a different color. 4 minus 3, 5 minus 4, 5 minus 5, and 4 minus 5. So it's going to give you that shape there, okay? So obviously the tracing paper would have been covering more of the shape than I was indicating. So I don't think there's a quick way to do this without the tracing paper. You're provided with tracing paper, so just make sure you practice some of these in advance of the exam. Question 20, well let's look at the numerator first of all. So 3 to the power of 7 multiplied by 3 to the power of minus 2. Now when we multiply, we add the powers. So 7 added together with minus 2 is 5. So that's 3 to the power of 5. So we're then left with the numerator 3 to the power of 5 being divided by the denominator of 3 to the power of 3. Now when we divide, we subtract the powers. 5 take away 3 is 2. So that's 3 squared, which is 9. Question 21, part A. So work out the value of V. So V squared equals U squared, so that's 12 squared, plus 2 times minus 3 times 18. So 12 squared means 12 times 12, which is 144. Now here we've got 2 times minus 3, which is minus 6, and then minus 6 times 18. Now minus 6 times 18 is going to give us a minus number. So let's just check out what 18 times 6 is. Just do that as a little side working. 6 eighths are 48, and 6 and 10, so that's 108. So 144 take away 108 is 36. So v squared equals 36. So we want to work out what v is. So to undo a squaring, we square root. So v is the square root of 36. Now it says work out a value of v. So the square root of 36 can be 6, because 6 is a 36, and that's all you required to get full marks. But you could have alternatively given minus 6 as an answer, because minus 6 times minus 6 is also 36. Part B, we've got to make S the subject. So we've got to rearrange everything. So we've got S equaling stuff rather than V squared equaling stuff. So start off by undoing the U squared. Always try and undo any terms further away from the actual term where you've actually got the new subject. So leave the 2AS alone for now and just undo the U squared. Well, we've got U squared plus 2AS, or if you like 2AS plus U squared. How do you undo a plussing of U squared? We're going to minus U squared from both sides. So minusing U squared from both sides, we get V squared minus U squared equals 2AS. Now we want to get S on its own. We've got 2 times A times S here. How do we undo that timesing by 2A? We're going to divide both sides by 2A. And to make it clear that the whole of the left-hand side is being divided by 2A, we're going to create a fraction. So it's V squared minus U squared all over 2A, and that's what S equals. So our final answer is S equals V squared minus U squared all over 2A. Question 22. So 40% of the bonus is shared between the 3 managers. That means that the remaining 60% is shared between the 7 salesmen. Shared between the 7 salesmen. So let's start off by working out what 60% is. So 10% of 2,100, always start off with 10% because 10% is a tenth. It's easy to divide by 10. 2,100 divided by 10 is £210. So that's what 10% would be. So 60% is going to be 6 times this amount. So 210 multiplied by 6. So that's £1,260. So that £1,260 is shared equally between the 7 salesmen. So let's do 1,260 divided by 7. So 1 carry 5, that's £180. So under that arrangement, each of the salesmen will get £180. Now what about if we have the alternative arrangement when the £2,100 is shared equally across all 10 people? Well, that's going to be £210 each. So clearly a better arrangement. So let's go and compare and contrast those. So the extra money they would get would be an extra £30. 210 take away 180 is an extra £30. So to work out what percentage more this would be, we take our £30 and we divide by the original amount, the 180. Now the zeros cancel, dividing by 10, we're left with 3 over 18, which is a sixth. So they would in fact get a sixth more money, not 25% more money like that one salesman said. So is the salesman correct? The salesman is not correct. They would get an extra sixth more money and not 25% more. Something like that would be fine. I don't think there's a need to convert that sixth into a percentage. I think we can clearly see that a sixth isn't 25%. Question 23. So 5 taps takes 120 minutes. So it takes 120 minutes with 5 taps. Now, I think to go to 3 taps, it's easier just to think about how long 1 tap would take first of all. So if you were only using 1 tap to fill the swimming pool, it's obviously going to take 5 times as long. It's not going to be quicker, is it? It's going to take a lot longer. So we're going to have to multiply by 5 to work out how long 1 tap would take. 5 lots of 120, well 5 12s is 60 and add a naught. So 60 minutes if you had 1 tap. But we've got 3 taps. Now that's going to be 3 times as quick, so we're going to divide 600 by 3 to work out how long this is. 600 divided by 3 is 200 minutes. Now, what assumption have you made? Well, we're assuming each tap is filling at the same rate, aren't we? So something like that. So state one assumption, each tap fills the pool at the same rate. So anything similar to that would be fine. Okay, so each tap fills the pool at the same rate. Question 24. So we've been asked to work out an estimate, so we don't need to use 213 miles per hour, using 200, so rounding to one significant figure will be fine. So let's use 200 miles per hour. Okay, so we're saying we can go 200 miles in an hour. Now an hour is 60 minutes. Now this question is asking us to work it out per second. So how many seconds in a minute? That's 60. So 60 times 60 is 3,600 seconds is the hour to do 200 miles. Now we want to work out an estimate for the number of seconds the plane takes to travel 1 mile. So 200 miles, 3,600 seconds. So 1 mile is going to be 3,600 divided by 200. So cancel a naught again. It's 36 divided by 2, which is 18 seconds. Now, is your answer to part A an underestimate or an overestimate? Well, we've gone and assumed with our estimating that we're travelling at only 200 miles per hour. Okay, where in fact we're travelling faster than that. So our 18 seconds is actually going to take us less time than that, because in reality we're travelling at 213 miles per hour, not 200. So it's going to take us less than 18 seconds. So 18 seconds is an overestimate. So it's an overestimate because the speed we have used in our estimate is less than the true speed. Something like that. Question 25. Now, to solve this, we're going to have to either eliminate the x's or eliminate the y's. So to start off with, we need to have the same number of x's or the same number of y's in both equations. So it doesn't matter which way around we do it. We could take equation number 1 and multiply it by 3 to line up the y's, or we could take equation number 2 and multiply it by 5 to line up the x's. I think I'm going to line up the y's. So let's go and take equation 1 and multiply all the terms by 3. So tripling each of the 3 terms, we're going to get 15x plus 3y equals 63. Now if we go and place equation number 2 below that, you can see we've now got the same numerical value, the same number of y's. Now because the signs are different, we're going to choose to add the 2 equations together. Okay, we're going to add the 2 equations together. So adding the equations together, 15x at x is 16x. 3y added together with minus 3y is nothing. That's the whole point. That's why we chose to add them. And 63 add 9 is 72. So we got 16x equaling 72. So if we then divide both sides by 16, we've got x equaling 72 over 16, which is 36 over 8, which is 18 over 4, which is 9 over 2. So that's 4.5. So x is 4.5. So we now need to go and work out our y's. So we can take either of the equations. Okay, I'm going to take the top equation because I prefer to work with adding. So if I take my 5x plus y equaling 21, and I've just worked out that x is 4.5, so 5 lots of 4.5 added together with y equals 21. So what are 5 lots of 4.5? Well, 4 lots of 4.5 are 18, so that's 22.5. So 22.5 plus y equals 21. So taking away 22.5 from each side, I get y being minus 1.5. Question number 26. So let's start off by working out the area of the semicircle, the bit I've shaded in light blue. So the area of the semicircle, the half circle, is pi r squared if it was a whole circle, so it's going to be half pi r squared. Now the radius of this semicircle here is 10, because 20 is the diameter, so the radius is 10. So that's going to be half times pi times 10 squared. 10 tens are 100, half that we get 50, so that's 50 pi. Now secondly, let's work out the area of the quarter circle. That's the one I've shaded in yellow. Okay, so that whole of the quarter circle. So quarter of a circle, so quarter of pi r squared. Now on this occasion, the radius of the quarter circle would be the full 20, because the whole circle would go right round here with a diameter of 40, so that does have a radius of 20. Now 20 squared is 400, quarter of 400 is 100, so that's 100 pi. Now our shaded area, the shaded area in the question, okay, the shaded area in the question is going to be the area of the quarter circle, number 1, take away the area of the semicircle, number 2. So the shaded area is 1 minus 2, which is 100 pi, take away 50 pi, which is 50 pi. So I've worked out the area of the shaded region to be 50 pi. So my shaded region over area of square equals the 50 pi, I've just worked out over here, divided by the area of the square. Now the square is 20 times 20, which is 400. So that's 50 pi over 400. Now if I go and divide this fraction, if I go and divide the numerator and the denominator by 50, I'm left with pi over 8, which is what the question required me to show. Question 27. So in the first bag we've got the 3 red balls, we've got 7 green balls, so the probability of a green ball is 7 out of 10. Now in the second bag, 5 red, 4 green, so the probability of a red is 5 out of 9, and then 4 out of 9 for green, and repeated down here. But this is second bag. Now for part B, work out the probability that Anna takes 2 red balls. Okay, so 2 red balls. So we need to work out the probability, I need to bring this down a little bit, the probability of a red followed by a red. Now the probability of a red with my first pick is 3 out of 10, and then with my second pick is 5 out of 9. So to multiply fractions, just top times top, bottom times bottom. Now that's 15 out of 90. Question didn't ask us to simplify it, but you could do so if you wish. You could go and divide top and bottom by 5. If you divide top and bottom by 5, you're going to get, what are we going to get? We're going to get 3 out of 18, which simplifies to 1 out of 6. So 15 over 90 would give you full marks, but you could have simplified it to 1 out of 6 if you wish to do so. Question 28. So let's do a little sketch to help us gather our thoughts. Here's a corner of a shape. There is my exterior angle, which we will call x, and I'm told that my interior angle is 11 times the size of the exterior. So what do I know about angles in a straight line? They add up to 180. So my interior angle plus my exterior angle must equal 180. So 11x plus x, so 12x, has to equal 180. So the size of my exterior angle is 180 over 12, which if we halve, we get 90 over 6. Halve again, we get 45 over 3, which is 15. So my exterior angle equals 15 degrees. Now, what do I know about my exterior angles? The exterior angles always total 360 degrees. So exterior angles total 360 degrees. So if each of them is 15, how many of them must there be? So the number of exterior angles, which equals the number of sides, so the number of sides, which is the same as the number of exterior angles, has to equal 360 divided by 15. So let's work this out. 360 divided by 15. 15s into 30 goes 2 carry 6, and 15s into 60 goes 4. So we've got 24 sides.